So good afternoon, one and all. We are starting with this session. I welcome you all. Myself, Dr. Shalini Gautam. I'm working here in DME as the Associate Professor and Head Outreach. I'm very happy to see the participation of the students who are really, enthusiasm is there to know about the courses and to know about the university. So basically, we are going to provide you with all the information about the courses which are available in Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University, which is a state-run university. It is a Delhi State University. So all the courses which are being provided here, right from the law to the media to the pharmacy, we are going to talk about it. You can ask your question answers at the end of the session. So before we formally start with the session, I would like to welcome Shweta ma'am. You are the one who coordinated and who were instrumental in, in organizing this event. I would also like to, welcome our director, sir, Ravikant Swami, sir. He has over 24 years of experience in teaching and administration, and he holds a PhD degree from University of Rajasthan. So without much ado, I would ask sir to please start with the presentation. Thank you, sir.
Okay, good afternoon to you all. I'll begin with the presentation. Okay, so we can begin with a photograph. A picture speaks more than 1,000 words, so you can read the 1,000 words in this. This is the building of IP University, which is next to Ma'am Shweta Sharma's school. Your school is in Janakpuri and it's very close to you in Dwarka. So this presentation can be useful to the students who are attending today. Now, I'll tell in the beginning that I'll not take much of the students' time, ma'am, because they have appointments with Netflix, Amazon, and whatnot. So we'll be brief. In the coming 25 minutes, what we are going to talk about, there are 5 things about which we are going to talk about. First is the university, then the professional courses there. Then the admission process, obviously this is of special interest to the students. Well, fee structures, yes. The hard-earned money of the parents. And then lastly, we'll talk about the scope of each of the professional courses being run by IPU. Okay, so we start like this. Now, while we talk about IP University, the first thing is that it's a government university established by the government of Delhi. And when we talk about universities in our country or in Delhi, I'll just give a background. Universities are of 4 categories. One are the central universities, which are, I believe, 54 in number, like JNU or Jamia. These are all centrally funded universities. Then we have the government universities, state government universities, then the private universities and the deemed universities. The total number of all these 4 categories of universities taken together in our country is 875, right? So IP University is a university run by the state government of Delhi. We call it the government of NCT, National Capital Territory. Now there are 2 major universities in Delhi. One is University of Delhi, popularly called DU. Second is IPU. So the question arises that why the government is doing 2 parallel jobs. So students, please try to understand, DU and IPU are not parallel to each other. They do not compete with each other in the sense that DU is about academic courses while IPU is about professional courses. In a while, I'll be telling you the difference between academic and professional courses. Moving on, this university ratings, yes. Gradings is a jungle wherein we need to guide these students, because there are so many organizations which keep on grading universities and colleges, be it India Today or Business Today or whatever. But what is the point here? The point here is that the grading which I am referring to in this presentation are not any magazine. These are authentic because these have been given by NAC or NIRF, which themselves are government organizations. Yes, as far as NAC is concerned, it's a top graded university, A grade. Now, NIRF is National Institutional Ranking Framework. Again, rankings given by UGC. Like NIRF is part of Ministry of HRD. Now, see, what is important here is, what is IPU's NIRF rank? It's 95. What does that mean? In relative terms, it simply means IPU stands among the top 10% universities in India. Out of 875, if its ranking is 95, obviously it is among the top 10%. Now, these NIRF rankings pertain to courses also. When it comes to engineering, it is even better. And when it comes to courses like BBA, business management, the ranking is among the top 5% in this country. So these are the rankings. AIU, yes. Another important point about IPU is that, and DU also, that these universities are made up of colleges. You add up various colleges being affiliated by these universities, and that is what the university means. So IPU has got around 100 affiliated colleges, many of them in Janakpuri, etc. We have colleges like Surajmal or Innovative, or like I can name so many who are there in Janakpuri. Now these all colleges make up for IPU. And yes, IPU has got colleges affiliated in Delhi as well as NCR. NCR is a term which is defined as the districts adjoining Delhi. And we know that Delhi is surrounded by two states, 60% by Haryana, 40% by UP. So whether it is Ghaziabad or Noida or Greater Noida or Faridabad or Gurugram, all these districts comprise this NCR, and IPU affiliates colleges in NCR as well. Then the university has got around 80 courses, and yes, from international standards, 80,000 students it is having, which means it's a great university. Okay. Moving on to the second part of the presentation, this may be little interesting to the students. Well, when we talk about any university, then we must also tell who are the notable alumni. Now, one thing is there that a young university has got lesser notable alumni vis-a-vis a very old university like University of Delhi. When we talk about University of Delhi, like so many actors and actresses, they were at DU. But when we talk about IPU, it started in 1998. So who are the notable alumni? Well, very interesting. The first name is Taapsee Pannu. I know Shweta Sharma ma'am's favorite actress. So anyway, she is my favorite. She did her BTech Computer Science from IPU, Guru Tegh Bahadur College, which is IPU college, in 2009. Then Gaurav Sharma, if anyone is fond of reading books, you must have read books like God of the Salid or Long Live the Salid. Yes, a very popular author. He did BJMC in 2014, very recent. Then Gaurav Roy, he is deputy leader of Congress in the Lok Sabha. He is also a BTech electronics from IP University. Guneet Monga, again, a very, very popular name associated with movies like Lunchbox and Gangs of Wasipur. She also did her BJMC from IP University. So it's just like, as we say, to name a few. There are so many others, but the point is what? The point is that a university we started in 1998 has got brilliant alumni. So tomorrow, some of you may be picturized here. Moving on, the difference between professional and academic courses, as I said, IPU is about professional courses and University of Delhi is about academic courses. So what's the difference? The difference is that a academic course like MA History or MA Sociology provides you knowledge and knowledge and knowledge, because the objective is to enhance your knowledge. On the other hand, a professional course provides you knowledge, how to apply that knowledge means skills, and then the most important thing, attitude. Now, I can give you an example. Say, for example, hotel management or BBA, like knowledge is one thing. Regarding front office, you may be knowing that, okay, this is how we manage the front office. But a professional course like BHMCT provides you the skills to apply that knowledge, be it room service or front office or beverages or whatever. A professional course tells you how to apply that knowledge. And when we talk about attitude, yes, corporates need people with good attitude. My dear friends, not to be quoted, but I can tell you 30% of output of our IITs, they fail in their careers because of attitude. They have knowledge and skills, they don't have the attitude, right? So this is the difference between a professional and academic course, that an professional course provides you knowledge, skills, and attitude. And then how is the economy changing? Yes, in the post-liberalized, globalized, privatized era, we found that the government sector is shrinking and the private sector is expanding, be it the IT sector or the banking sector or the insurance sector or the hotel industry. So when the government sector is shrinking and the private sector is expanding, what is the need? The need is of professional courses, right? And that is the reason why everyone is going for professional courses, and academic courses are now slowly and slowly they are becoming less useful because of obvious reasons which I have discussed just now. Coming to the second point of today's presentation, which are the professional courses at IPU. My dear students, I told that there are 80 courses. It's not possible for me to discuss all those 80 in this short presentation, but yes, I have taken the major courses. Now, this is the link which will be provided to you in the chat box. This is regarding the information brochure of IPU. You can read everything about IPU regarding the admission process in this. We'll be also providing you the admission link subsequently. Now, while talking about the professional courses at IPU, we need to subdivide them. We need to subdivide them into courses which need a specific stream at 12th and which do not need any stream at 12th. So courses which do not need any specific stream in 12th class, we call them stream neutral courses. So what are these courses? Well, BA LLB 5-year integrated, BBA LLB 5-year integrated, Bachelor of Arts, Journalism and Mass Communication, the one which Guneet Monga did from IPU, then BBA, Bachelor of Hotel Management and Catering Technology. These are stream neutral courses, which means students that whichever stream you may have taken at your 11th and 12th, you are eligible for these courses. Right? Even means you may have bio or maths or commerce or humanities or even vocational studies in your 12th class. You are eligible for these courses. Yes, 50% in 12th remains the ubiquitous eligibility. Means this is something very generic in our country, that 50% at 12th is required for admission to any professional courses, plus tests and all those things are there. I would be talking about that, right? Then, having said about the stream neutral courses, then there are courses which are specifically for students with physics, chemistry, and maths at 12th. So here comes the major course, which is BTech and Bachelor of Architecture, right? Moving on, there are courses like BCom honors or Eco honors, and then for biology, we have courses like Bachelor of Pharmacy, Bachelor of Nursing. IPU has also, obviously IPU has got MBBS and various courses in yoga as well. That's about the courses in a broad sense, right? Details are available in the information brochure. Now the admission process. This is something which needs little attention. When Well, students, the best way is you click this link, which will be provided to you after this presentation. You click this link, there is something called registration, pay 1200 rupees, get yourself registered for IPU. Obviously, the last date is still there, and the last date is 15th of July. I'll not say that it is going to be extended, because in case it is not extended, it will be a problem. So 15th July is the last date. You click this link, register yourself for any course at IPU, and you have to pay 1200 rupees, right? Now, one important thing is there. Now, what is that important thing? For courses like BTech, law courses, architecture, etc., IPU does not hold its own entrance examination. So what does it do? It considers the scores of the national level exams. So for engineering, it is JEE. For architecture, it is NATA. For law, it is CLAT. So in these courses, IPU considers the scores of national level exams, and you have to simply register yourself for CET. So registration here means participation in the counseling process. You need not appear for any entrance for IPU, or IPU is not holding entrances for law, for engineering, for architecture, right? But then there are courses like hotel management, BBA, journalism, etc., for which there are no national level tests available, and therefore IPU holds its own entrance exams. So in either case, you have to register yourself for CET. As far as JEE is concerned, well, due to COVID, JEE will be held 4 times in 2021. 2 times it has already been held. Another 2 times it's going to be held. So yes, you have time. You can apply for JEE in case you are interested for engineering. In case you want to go for architecture, you can apply for NATA. But in all the cases, the underlying point is what? That you have to register yourself for IPU's this CET. Okay, so that's about the admission process. This link is available. We'll be providing you this link. Fee structure. Okay. To simplify things, IPU is a state government run university. The fee structure is very, very reasonable, or it's not on the higher side. Like not to name, but there are many private universities which charge very hefty fee, but IPU being funded by Delhi government, and students, you belong to Delhi, you must know that Delhi government is the richest government in our country in terms of per capita income. This may be a news to you, but please consider this as a genuine fact. Delhi government is the richest government in this country in terms of per capita income. Well, if the government is rich, it has got deep pockets, and therefore it does not overcharge the students who study at IPU. The fee in general, I can say it's between 80,000 and 1,10,000 for every and any course. You may go for hotel management or BBA or law or BTech. The fee will range between this only. And yes, again, to reiterate the point, because it's a government university, there cannot be any hidden charges. It's not possible that tomorrow a college tells you that, okay, you pay for picnic or for placements, nothing doing. No hidden charges, because things are very well governed by the Education Ministry of Delhi government. Now, I think we have come to the last point of the presentation, the scope of these courses. First, I'll talk about the scope of law courses. Yes, after doing a law course, there are various options available. And first and foremost is that I start practicing law. You may start practicing law. You may become an advocate like Mahatma Gandhi, or like Jawaharlal Nehru, or like Sardar Patel, or like Barack Obama, or like Kamala Harris. You may become an advocate and you may practice, right? I can tell you, for law students, politics seems to be a good career, because throughout the world, as I named a few people, I don't know why, but yes, law graduates are the most common politicians throughout the world. So politics, I believe, is one of the important careers for law graduates. Other than that, you may start practice, you may join a law firm, or you may prepare for judiciary, right? So the primary scopes for law courses, talking about BBA, traditionally the areas where a Bachelor of Business Administration or a manager can work are marketing, finance, and HR. These are the traditional areas. Other than that, you need any area and they need managers. So be it retail or aviation or power sector or whatever, you need managers to manage, and there lies the scope of BBA. Hotel management, yes, hotel management is traditionally divided into like housekeeping, then front office, then you have the food and beverages management. So as we say that the hotel management people, they cool, they cook, and they serve, right? So cool, cook, and serve are the areas where a student from hotel management can find placement scopes. Hotel management industry is going through a paradigm shift in the sense that in the post-COVID era, they are going to come up with a lot of innovations, and students who are going to enter in 2021 in any hotel management course, while they'll be graduating in 2025, I can tell that hotel management will be having a great scope. Talking about architecture, well, India is a country where we need a lot of housing. With 18% of the world population with us, you can imagine the need for housing. And when we talk about housing, who's going to build those maps and all that? Architects. So that is the scope of architecture. Other than housing, when we talk about infra, roads, bridges, railways, everywhere architects are needed. So that is the scope of architecture. As far as pharmacy and nursing are concerned, yes, they also have good scope, because in the post-COVID era, governments are going to invest in the health sector. At least I hope so, because till now the governments were not investing in the health sector. Otherwise, COVID would not have been that devastating. Now we are moving towards the close of this presentation, and students, you must be wondering about this question, right? And yes, no wise person, no savvy person would be judgmental in answering this question that course A is good for you or B is good for you. I can tell you, students, whichever course you do, whichever course you take on this earth, 25% students, they do wonderfully well. 25% of students, they do not do well. And then the in between 50% students, they definitely do well. So this is what happens. We call it a normal probability distribution in statistics. This is how this world works. We have such a structure that whichever course you take, whichever profession you choose, this is the kind of structure. So how do I answer this question? What is the formula for success? Well, I am not a Baba that I'll tell you the formula for success. I am a career counselor. I am a teacher. I will be telling you something which can help you out, right? So this is the answer. If there is any formula to success, it lies in 3 alphabets: A, S, and K. My dear students, whichever profession you choose, if you have the right set of knowledge, the pertinent skills, and the corporate ready attitude, jobs are waiting for you. The world will welcome you with open arms. Thank you. Thank you, my dear students.
So we have some questions from the students. One of the student is asking that is BCom honors a professional course?
Yes, that's a pertinent question, because BCom per se is an academic course, and say BBA is a professional course. So BCom honors is something which lies in the in between area. In the strict sense of the term, it is not a professional course.
We have another question from a student called Kushi. She is asking, is our entrance exam for CET going to be online or offline this year?
Well, audience, I can tell you, IPU is a university, maybe because it is located in the capital or whatever, it is very, very IT savvy. The way it adopted the digital drive, it is wonderful. But I can tell you, even before COVID, all the entrances were online. The complete admission process was online even before COVID. So mind it, the test, entrance, everything will be online.
Sir, there is another student, Anshika. She wants to know more about the PCB courses that are being offered by IP University.
Okay, so MBBS is obviously there, then Ayurved is there, dental is there, then we have pharmacy, and we have nursing, and we have the yoga courses. So these probably are the courses where anybody who is interested in biology can opt for these courses.
Right. Sir, another student, she's asking, is any scholarship scheme available for the students in IP University?
As I said, Delhi government is the richest government in this country. I can tell you, I have never seen such good scholarship schemes in any state of India. Means there is a very popular scheme called Merit Cum Means, wherein if a student has got two things, first, 60% overall, second, no reappear. Delhi government is there to provide you scholarship. But two conditions, overall aggregate 60% and above, second, no reappear. Scholarship is yours.
Right, sir. So thank you. Sir, another question which the student is asking, are there any student exchange programs as far as if a student wants to go internationally? So are there any international student exchange programs available?
That depends upon the colleges. As I said, IPU is made up of colleges. So colleges may have such short-term international programs, say for example, internship abroad or something like that. But as far as the model like 2 years in India, 1 year in say any other country is concerned, IPU does not such models. IPU does not. Because then I can tell you students, there are questions of recognition of degree and many other issues are there. So therefore, this model is not adopted by IPU that 2 years in India, 1 year abroad. Yes, you can definitely go abroad for internship or project or some short-term exchange program.
There another question is what is BCA offered by IPU?
BCA is offered by IPU, the Bachelor of Computer Application, but somehow students have, they choose between BTech Computer Science and BCA. So BTech Computer Science is a 4-year course and BCA is a 3-year course. You can choose between these two. BCA is there at IPU. It is there.
Sir, another question which is being asked by the student is that is there any minimum cutoff like we witnessed in DU? So in IPU University also having some minimum cutoff for the courses.
Students try to understand that there is a difference between DU and IPU. I don't know why, but DU is still dragging on with the cutoffs based on percentage in 12th, which itself, is contradictory in nature, in the sense that a student from, say, Bihar board may obviously have a higher marking or better score than a student from Rajasthan board. So therefore, I don't know why DU is dragging on with this system. IPU does not prescribe to this system. IPU says, whatever is your percentage in 12th, forget about that. We simply need 50%. Come, you appear in your entrance exam, and whatever is the score, we'll consider that. So there is nothing like minimum cutoff. The only eligibility is 50% for all courses and 45% for BTech as prescribed by AICTE. That is the minimum cutoff. After that, you appear in the entrance, you score there, and your admission will be based on the scores in the entrance, not based on your 12th marks. So you leave background in the background. That is the IPU model.
Sir, Lakshya is asking for some controversy. He is asking which is the best commerce college under IPU University?
Best commerce college. I'll suggest that I'll answer that question in a different way. Like best, how do you define best? I can tell you, you go by 3 parameters if you want to decide which is good for you or which is best. Uh, as I said, knowledge, skills, and attitude. Can the college provide you knowledge? So visit the college or check its website. Are the teachers there well qualified? Right? Is the college having a good library? Because everyone will claim that I can provide knowledge, I can provide skills. But the point is, whether they have the qualified teachers or not, whether they have a good library or not, this is one parameter which can tell you whether the college can provide you knowledge or not. Second, skills. Go to the college, you ask them, like how many industrial visits you have conducted during the past 2 years, 3 years. And then you go and ask them, show me about your placement. So everyone will claim that, okay, my students have been placed in Microsoft and Oracle and IBM. But then you can politely ask them, can you show me the appointment letter? And things will be clear. So go and use these measuring rods, use these parameters, and you will come to know which college is good and which is not so good. So go by the parameters. Don't go by anybody's advice. So everyone can tell that A is good, B is not good. Don't go by that. You go and use these 3 parameters. You ask for the appointment letters. If they'll say that, okay, we don't have now, means they are telling lies. So you ask for the appointment letters. So this is how you can find out. You can immediately find out whether a college is good or not.
Right, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, another question is, can I assured be of placement if I get the admission in IB institution?
Yes, the assurance can be provided by either God or you yourself. Only, there are 2 ways of assuring. So if you have the right set of knowledge, skills, and attitude, I can assure you placement, right? Placements are like, I'll give an example. Companies visit colleges, they interview students, say Amazon. Amazon visits college A. It interviews 50 students and selects 20 or 15. Now tell me, who can assure you? Means no one can tell Amazon that you please select A student or B student. It is Amazon's own criteria. They may choose a student who is very good in communication skills, something like that. So yes, you talked about BBA, Shalini. One thing I can tell you that BBA is a course wherein placements are I think IPU colleges, the placements are very good. The placements are excellent because we are in Delhi, IPU is in Delhi, majority companies are in Delhi. So IPU colleges, they have much better placements vis-a-vis colleges or universities which are located in the interior cities of our country. Like if a college is at Jalandhar or Pathankot or Jodhpur, then obviously that college will not be competing with the Delhi colleges in terms of placement. Delhi obviously is a hub of jobs. So that is how I answered that question.
Right, sir. Another question, I think Samarth and Lakshya are friends. So Samarth is asking the same question which Lakshya had asked. He's asking, which is the best college for BTech in mechanical engineering?
You go and use the criteria. Yeah. Don't ask me to be judgmental because
Yes.
that would be wrong on my part.
Yeah. Any further questions?
It's very easy to say that A is good, B is not good, but that would be wrong on my part. You visit the college and find it for yourself. You use the parameters which we have given to you.
Any further questions any of the students has? I don't have any question in the chat box. Anything else you want to ask, or we can conclude the session?
Shalini ma'am, I would like to ask one question from sir.
Yes, yes,
hello, yes. Ravi sir. Sir, I would like to know, like after this COVID pandemic, this scenario of job and career, it has been changed right now, like hospitality management and the career in aviation. So please guide our students regarding that view, that after this COVID pandemic, what they can pursue, what are, the major upcoming careers right now.
That's true, Shweta ma'am. COVID is a game changer. Like as we say that the post-COVID world will not be the same as the pre-COVID world. There are some industries which which are facing a difficult time. Let it be say tourism, or as you said, aviation, or even hotel management. I agree that these are the industries which are badly affected. On the other hand, there are industries which are gainers. Say, for example, anything related with pharma, surgicals, they are big gainers. Means I know a pharma store near my home. It was in very bad shape since the past 7 years. But I don't know, post-COVID, that shop always has got a long queue. So there are sectors which are gainers. Pharma obviously is the gainer, but then the major gainer is IT industry. And IT industry contributes to 8% of India's GDP. You can imagine the number of people employed by this IT industry. Then there is the banking industry, right? So these are the sectors which are gainers, and then there are the sectors which are losers. So in the post-COVID era, things will be changing. Now coming to the point of hospitality, it's not possible that we are going to remain confined in our homes with a house arrest kind of situation for long. Tourism will be reshaped, obviously. Hotel industry will be reshaped, but then it's going to come up in a new form. And the students who are taking admission in 2021, while they'll be graduating in 2026, they'll find a innovative industry. But then industries like hotel or tourism, these are the recreation-based industries. They can't stay at a lower point for long. Like what is happening presently, I'll give an example of media industry. When COVID came, everyone said media industry is devastated. Why? Because the theaters are closed, the award ceremonies are closed. But then what happened? Then came OTT. And I can tell you, OTT is such a wonderful thing that now even, Big B, Amitabh Bachchan, is thinking how to enter this mobile platform. This is how innovations take place, and then industries are reshaped, and then they come up in a big, better way. So this is regarding your question, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Ravi sir. Thank you.
So any other question from any other participant? Any other question? Okay, so with this, we are coming to an end of this wonderful session. I would like to say special thanks to Ravi sir, who has always given a wonderful presentation. It was nice listening to you, sir. I would also like to thank Shweta ma'am, who was instrumental in facilitating this event and support me throughout. Ma'am, please convey my thanks to Anu ma'am as well, with whom I initiated the discussion, the principal ma'am, and she actually connected me with you. So special thanks to her. Thanks to all the participants, all the students who are here and asked such good questions, which shows the involvement of the students. So thank you one and all. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Shalini ma'am. On behalf of SSUD DAV Public School, I would like to thank you also, and especially to Ravi sir. Thank you for guiding my students regarding different career options and how can they choose their career path and how can they gain success in their life. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, my lovely students, to be here. I hope you get better knowledge regarding different careers. So thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Shalini ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.